We always quote the one that gives us that feeling of superiority over our fellow man. We don't quote the one that actually makes it real.
So I want to talk about kayfabe, but I want to get your reaction to this quote by one mathematician, David Hilbert, who once said that we can measure the importance of scientific work by the number of earlier publications rendered superfluous by it. Do you agree with that statement? I have some qualms with it.
I don't know. It's big, simple stuff. Yeah, it's always very profound. It's like when people quote Feynman to you.
Popper, yeah, right.
If you can't explain it to your grandmother, then you do not understand it. Then he gets the Nobel Prize and says, "Can you please explain it? If I could explain it, it wouldn't be worth.
It would be worth a friggin' prize."
Right, and we always quote the one that gives us that feeling of superiority over our fellow man. We don't quote the one that actually makes it real.
Right.
No, look, kayfabe has to do with the fact that we have to lie about what we're doing all the time. So, for example, when I was at Harvard in the math department, I read a grant. And maybe I don't mind telling the story because the individual is deceased, and I think I've spoken reverently about him. But I went up to the great Raoul Bott, who gave us Bott periodicity. And I said, I was reading your grant about what you were doing in low dimensions, and it said that your work in low dimensions is important because it might elucidate knot theory, and knot theory is extremely important for plasmids and understanding plasmids in biology. And he said, "What's a plasmid?" I said, "It's your grant, sir." He had not written it. Someone had taken the grant that he had written and put in that it was very important for him to do low-dimensional topology so that we could study looped nucleic acid that might be knotted, and therefore invigorate the pharmaceutical industry, something completely crazy like that. That's kayfabe, where the system is lying in order for the system to continue. He wasn't doing anything to elucidate anything about plasmids. What we have is that we have to now tell untruths at an almost continuous rate in order to keep our jobs, in order to not run afoul of Twitter or YouTube or anything like this. I mean, when you talked about somebody losing a blue check mark or somebody being taken up, nobody anymore believes that Twitter doesn't shadow ban. I mean, I can tell instantly that a tweet of mine is being throttled because I have a very good idea after over a decade of how much reach a tweet will have. And if I throw red meat at somebody, I always get clicks on those things unless it's throttled. We don't believe in anything. We don't believe in CNN. We don't believe in our political parties, our slogans. Trust in the press is at an all-time low. Viewership is way off. In order to actually rebuild trust in society, we've got to start excluding people. And those people very often look like Brian Stedler. They look like Joe Biden. We need to exclude Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi. These people really can't be at our table. And we've also got to take it up that, in science, I don't like picking on people, but somebody just came out with a book where they were going on and on about, how string theory is the theory of everything.
The God equation.
I didn't say it. You said it.
He's a guest on the show. We fought about that. No, okay. You can take it.
But it's not interpersonal. It's like, why do you guys put up with these giant programs that are clearly completely wrong? And you're very afraid of individuals like a Joe Rogan coming to a conclusion and speaking, but you have an enormous program that's known to be wrong. By the way, check out the Eco Health Alliance. This is what Fauci was funding the Wuhan lab through. I looked at the number of views on their videos. The number of views on their videos are minuscule. Nobody's watching what this thing is. We're not engaged. We're having these conversations that are incredibly repetitive. People don't have new ideas. If people have new ideas, they're treated, like the end of Coleridge's Kubla Khan. So, weave a circle round him thrice and close your eyes in holy dread, for he honeydew hath fed and drunk the milk of paradise. everybody who actually has an idea is treated like a crazy person. And we've overdone, particularly from my side of the aisle, the left of center notion of sophistication is that we're trying to hobble everyone who would step into the arena and say, I have a new idea about how to do something really important. And I think that that's what's depressing me, is that we're making life horrible for everyone who's trying, and we're making life very easy for people who are attached to institutions, whether it's Facebook or Google or Twitter or the Democratic Party, Harvard, Princeton, or the institutions like the Urban Institute. We've got to reverse that. It's very important that individuals who can still think and still speak start to shoulder more of the responsibility for getting us out of the rut. And I think that's what I'm super optimistic about. And by the way, Brian, you've got 5 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
What bothers me the most is watching the 2 generations in front of me clearly not care about their kids and their kids' kids. It's evident in how they speak. I don't understand it. I want a better world for the future, and I want to be, open and transparent that there's not likely to be 300 years of future if we don't panic and start trying to say, are we really going to try to upload into Silicon? Are we really going to try to get wise so that there are no more wars ever with new technology? Are we really going to try to get off this planet with rockets? At what point do we get serious and say we need a portfolio of solutions to escape our coming fate? And we need the people who are attracted to those to participate in society. And we need to stop looking at everything they do, scrutinize them, make them constantly apply for increasing, for resources, citing all of their progress. We know how to do science. And it's time we get back to doing science and kick the administrators, the people who think we can't do, the people who believe that somehow science has nothing to do with national interest. It's time to exclude all sorts of voices because we're in an emergency situation. We've got to restart growth, and more importantly, we've got to diversify so that different people can run different experiments, and we're not in just one giant petri dish the way we found out we are with COVID.